everybody. We are back with Real Talk and with Paulo Schneider here in our studios. And as always, our promise to you is to bring the best of the best out there in entrepreneurship and leadership, economics, and all kind of developments that's going on in innovation with technology and science and everything that we can bring to you that brings value. And of course, real estate, which is my direct link. But my job here, as always, in our podcast, is to open the doors for business in general, and not only today, but in the past segments that we had here and the future segments. This is what we will do to bring information so that you out there can take some of this information or all of it and use it, and hopefully the information that we will bring on will help you expand or grow your business or develop or bring new ideas to your mind so that you can take it and run with it and do something better, something more innovative, and grow with it. This is the goal of our podcast. Real Talk with Paulo Schneider starts right here. It will go all the way to the moon. But before we go, make sure you link with us with our social media channels. They will be featured right here through Instagram, my website, YouTube channels, and everything that you can link with us. Come in, join us, participate, get involved, and send our information out there to the world, because our main goal is to help, to bring innovation, to bring information to everybody around this globe. Okay, so today we have a great guest here. And let me bring on a great friend and a businessman, very, very business mindset, innovative mindset, creative mindset, Mr. Ricardo Aizenman from Ironman Capital and Partners located in Miami, and many more businesses that this guy. He's the CEO and founder. So, Mr. Ricardo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Paulo, for having me.
All right. I know you are pressed with time, and so we want to keep it concise, but let's go right to the point, and you take it away, and I mean, you run with it. Whatever you want to talk, the mic is yours, the camera is yours, everything is yours. I just interject if I have a question or two, but you take it away, run with it. Let's go, Ricardo. Bring it on.
So first of all, thank you for the time and the invitation. I'm happy to talk about any topic that is happening in today's world or anything that I can bring from my past. I'm not sure if I will have the right answers to everything, but I will bring my 2 cents on the dollar for any value-added question that you would like to raise for your audience, for sure.
So go ahead, man. I know you've been traveling. You've been speaking to at a lot of events. I've seen you. We met many times in different events that you spoke. And what struck with me is the knowledge that you have in all these sectors. So you speak a lot about technology, a lot about innovation. So bring this on and talk to us about how do you see the South Florida region being such a big hub for all these industries that are coming our way, and what you think in your mind can be done here, and what's more, what else can be done here? How can this grow to what level? Is that a ceiling, or is this like all the way to the moon?
Well, I'm sure that everybody knows that there has to be a zip code that is chosen for most industries for a reason. Historically, you've seen on the Industrial Revolution how many companies moved and went from one country to the other to expand or to be their capital flagship. If it was on the retail side, you can go to the major cities and find those flagships on the main avenues.
Right.
It happens like in this revolution that we're looking at today, it involves the technology at a very unique level that has decided that for some reason, and there are many reasons why people say Miami or Florida is the right place to come, but it seems that when COVID struck the world, Miami just continued open for almost everything, including construction, development, and especially these new technologies that are coming that are digital. So in a sense, you could be in Miami or opening a company here or investing in real estate, but some of these people are not in Miami. Some of these people are usually where they usually live, and sometimes they come to Miami. And that's what happened during COVID. Like people relocated here thinking that it would be for like 6 months, for 12 months, but suddenly found that the world has changed it, and a lot of people decided to stay here
Right.
and start those businesses with roots and funds and venture capital funds, started organizing themselves. And then the banks thought that it was a good idea to start sponsoring these companies, these startups. So, and then you start the number of deals starting to close. Like, even though it's a small number for venture capital still compared to San Francisco or compared to New York or Austin,
Right.
5 billion last year in deals. Maybe this year it will be double or triple. Who knows? It will be like those industries that just went up so fast that people started investing and liquidity came in. You know the drill more than anyone else on the real estate business.
Right.
So you've seen how it's closing, and those people are coming from New Jersey or from Toronto or Manhattan or California, and they see not only the tax benefits, obviously the state tax and the city tax and all those taxes add up. And when you do the numbers, well, it's much better than I used to think Florida was. And yeah, the last 20 years here has been an eye-opening for Miami, and the energy is here, definitely. But this is what it is. So let's
You
see what happens for the next months as the economy shifts.
Right. I remember the time when I lived in Boston. I lived in Boston for 22 years, and in the beginning, we didn't have much of technology there, and we had obviously universities, and this is the state of Massachusetts is actually holds the largest concentration of universities around the world. There's apparently over 400 universities in that state, and that's unbelievable, crazy. But there is a reason for it. All the students, or a lot of students around the world, come to Boston to study there. You have Harvard, you have MIT, you have so many other great universities there, and the governor at the time went to Europe and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm halfway to Silicon Valley. We have the largest concentration of students there, and they stay there. They want to stay there. They are already used to the climate and all those things. Why don't you come? Here's my offer." He offered these corporations free tax for, I guess, a period of 5 years, and then 50% for the next 5 years. And after the 10th year, they would only pay all the taxes. And that was a great deal because they were in the U.S., halfway to Silicon Valley, a short trip, no big deal, and they came. And I remember every day a new sign went up on the streets of around Boston, the highways of the company that I had to look up and say, what is this? I never seen this name before. And when you checked it out, it came from Europe. And I witnessed all that stuff hands-on. The market went crazy. Everything went nuts in New England and Massachusetts, and it was unbelievable. The growth of the state in general, especially with the biotech and technology, was amazing. I see some of the same happening down here. So many
Yeah,
companies
it's
coming from
true.
around the world. It is, and to me, I feel it in my skin. I mean, when I talk about this, Ricardo, my hair sort of stick up because I seen this story before. I know the potential, and I really truly feel that we are at the beginning of this thing here to still explode, because we are now. You guys talk a lot about integrating South America with Miami. I know you talk about this all the time, and it is true. It is true. We have to bring these companies, the tech sector, the biotech sector, the financial sector from South and Central America to this region. There's so much more that they can gain from here and there in the U.S. And of course, with that, a lot of things will happen. Business will come, universities will grow, and they will bring new programs and all that stuff. Do you see the same thing?
Yes, yes. Well, you know, the U.S. is very competitive in terms of the university concept that has been here forever,
Mm,
more compared to any other country.
right.
The U.S. has more higher education facilities and more entrepreneurial places for studies and laboratories. in terms of venture capital. So I believe that Miami is really starting to invest heavily in this infrastructure that is basic, as you mentioned, for to be a place to live, work, study, and have fun. In terms of Miami, well, we have and we have FIU, and then we have all these virtual universities that have really good programs that don't require such high costs as the existing current model, which is very expensive to study here if you don't have support from parents or from the student loans. It's basically impossible if you don't have a grant. Yeah. So that I think need to be part of the equation for Florida for the next higher education places. And most entrepreneurs have a level of studies, or some of them never went into college because they decided to be entrepreneurs, live, work, and go everywhere.
We know a few out there. Yeah.
But I do believe that with existing programs that they could be assigned and scholarships, online courses for basic knowledge for these entrepreneurs, it's a must-have. Because as you say, Latin America, it's shifting north like they've done before. In most regions, people decided at the beginning that it was a good idea to go work north, like in Europe or in Asia, it's the same thing. So we are getting a big wave of people that are educated from Latin America, most of them that can afford to come to Miami. They're very well educated. And now is the time to offer them the platform with the right key success factors, like you mentioned, in studies and other things that could really give them the tools. Silicon Valley, it's a great place to do this today. It's expensive, but you have everything you need there to do it there. And it's still growing, and it's still the mecca as is. But you have these newcomers like Miami, and just to compare Austin, Texas, it's the same thing in their niche. But Miami is really bringing not only the Web 3.0 and the cryptos, which have been up and down, but the industry is already here. And it's identified as Miami. But there's the other industries like the blue, logistic operation, the ports, all the energy, green energy. This company are also here. And, the industry here for ports and logistics, it's very important for the Caribbean and Latin America and elsewhere. So Miami also has that key success factor. Definitely, as everybody knows, the beaches and the hospitality, hotels and restaurants are really doing a great job. They're upscaling their experiences in terms of culinary. Also, the hotel, it's very competitive out there. There's so many great hotels providing what the industry needs. And then, well, people decide here. There's plenty of real estate at decent level pricing compared to other cities that are like New York, or if you look at Singapore or Dubai, or even Mexico or Sao Paulo, the prices are in the lower end. They're still on the lower end compared to the most productive capitals of the world. So it's not that expensive compared to them, because you're making the same amount of money if you were in Singapore or in New York or in Miami. So the cost of living here, even though it's been going up, like in most places of the world or more here, it's still a very attractive place to come do business. And a lot of developers are working on that concept of creating ecosystems specifically for this. So yes, I think Miami is shifting in real terms very rapidly, very rapidly.
And you see this continue to go for a good while, right? I mean, based on your understanding of this concept. Now, you said earlier something about the amount of money that has already been invested last year, some 5 trillion or billion or trillion, I guess. Five what?
5 billion.
5 billion, right? 5 billion. And where is this money coming from mostly? Is it coming from South America? Is it Central America? Is it coming from Europe, Asia, or is it a mix? Where you see the highest concentration of that money coming from? Is it also here from the U.S.? What do you...
Well, this measure is mostly measuring the participation of registered investors, which are the venture capital funds, or even multifamily office in the wealth management space. The angel investor as itself goes directly most of the time into the capital of the companies, and you don't really identify. But in my space with Ironman Capital, we get investors that are coming from Latin America, specifically from Brazil or Colombia, Mexico. But the angel investor space, it's very well organized now through technology. Groups that are very well organized in New York or in Silicon Valley are doing the same here. So if you are part of a group in a WhatsApp with the right crowd, you will get invited to the right deals.
So we
In
need
our
to
case,
talk. We need to talk about that. You got the ins right there.
well, it's no secret. The VC world is like the Web 3.0. So there's the WhatsApp
Right,
groups, and then there's the other Discords applications that really bring all this community together, and they start doing stuff. So it's very powerful compared to 10 years ago. We just didn't have this technology.
right.
And you can be anywhere and get a WhatsApp message group, and then you can be on mute, or you can share documents, or you can go to a subgroup. It's like very well organized.
Well,
So those things are happening in Miami,
we,
and you see a lot of
yeah,
entrepreneurs coming here for a few days or for an accelerator program,
right,
which we happen to have one. And the people that are coming are really taking, obviously, like every other entrepreneur, risks of coming abroad. Like if you're very successful in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, Rio, or Porto Alegre, or Mexico, and your business has all these key successful factors that you can take them abroad. Like you can export the formula, you have the people with the talent, you may have the resources or not, the money, but definitely the disruptor looks like a unicorn company. Like it will be replicated in the US, which is the largest US market, and Miami is very comfortable for them. Because not only most people here speak Spanish or even Portuguese now,
right,
so definitely English, US American, it has been like a mix here in Miami forever.
right.
So it's a perfect place for any nationality to come, not only Latins. And we're starting to see people here from everywhere. Like you go to South Beach, and then you go to Mid District, and any other place, they're there.
Right, and that is so true, and you said it right. Miami, the South Florida region, which is mainly the Tri-County, obviously Miami leading the way. We have Fort Lauderdale, we have Boca Raton, we have West Palm Beach. So many places for these corporations to come in and look for a safe haven, for a good location, for a nice, especially the climate. You have 99% of the time around the year, you have sunshine. And look, I lived in Boston for 22 years.
Right.
Most of the time was cloudy weather. And you got up
Right.
in the morning, you didn't see the sun of the day. You went to bed, it was dark at 4. Okay, you got up at 6 or 5:36. It was pitch black dark. It got only clear at around 8 or 9 a.m. And if you didn't have your head screwed up over your shoulder the right way, I mean, you fell into depression right away. Because us, for example,
Right.
from Central and South America, from warmer places of the world, it's hard. It's difficult to live in a climate
Right.
like it's very, very, very challenging. You really, really, really have to have your brain, your head set up the right way so that you don't fall into the troubles of getting depressed and all that stuff. And a lot of people do. And not only just people that come from these warm weather countries, but also people who live in those areas. Now look at the pandemic. I think the pandemic caused a major rush for people to get out of these states because they were locked
It was
up.
too much. It
They
was
were
too much.
they were locked up. They couldn't get out. They couldn't go to a restaurant. They couldn't go on the streets. They had to stay in the 4 boxes of their house and then face each other every single day, 24/7. And man, you couldn't get a breather out there. You had to suck it up all inside. And then they felt, okay, if I stick my head outside the window, my nose is going to freeze up and break off from this weather. So let me get out of here. So
Yeah,
on this,
there's nothing more powerful than identifying where is the right place for you to
right,
be, to
right,
work, live, have a
and
family, or have friends, and develop your business.
right,
And a lot of people found out by coming to Miami.
right.
And
Well,
they never thought they would.
you have the weather, you have a certain good economic situation, you have a good sense of security. There's a lot of freedom around. There's a lot of potential around. You have a lot of beautiful beaches. You have beautiful cities around. Most of the cities are well kept. We have some issues in some, like every place around the world, but in most cases, everything is good. And you know what? The mechanics of the infrastructure work. And this is
Yeah,
what a lot of people around the world, don't see. In the third world countries, they may have money, but the infrastructure, the mechanics of the buildings, the roads, the streets, the whole system just doesn't work right. And
I think one of the major shifts also was the train, the tri-state that you mentioned. That's a wonderful concept that very few people, I think, now realize that Miami connected tri-state county concept with the train, obviously with your car, but definitely the train is a major shift. Like any major city should have a train, metro, or any other alternative transportation method. But this was really a shift.
They have to still develop. It's ongoing. It's growing. It's coming fast. It's growing fast. Right.
Yeah, the train has to reach New York, all the way north.
Has to cut through. Has to cut through. That is true. And has to go also to the West Coast because
but in the fast way.
Yes, it's important to connect the system. It makes it easy. It makes a way that people, if they don't want to drive or they feel like they don't care about driving in those crowded areas, it's tough. If you go to Miami in rush hours, everybody knows that. But if you can go with a car, right? But if you can go with a train, you stop at certain stations and get an Uber or get something, whatever. You're in and out fast. It takes a little longer, but you get on the train. You have internet. You have Wi-Fi all over. You sit down and you keep working all the way to the stoplight.
That is correct. And it's crazy. You go to China, or you go to Spain, or you go to France, or any other major Europe. They have these fast trains that just take people from A
one
to B.
Spot to the other, from A to B, like that, and and makes it easy, makes it convenient.
Miami to Orlando would be very interesting to see the shift in the time we spend to get there.
Yeah, it's coming. It's around the corner. I think they have it almost ready to go, right?
Big project.
Yeah.
Right, it's forthcoming.
Think about this for a second. If somebody wants to come from Orlando to Miami for a meeting
for work,
or for work, they can start working from the train 2 hours. Let's say it takes 3 hours, whatever, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. They hop onto that train at 9 or 8 a.m., 7 a.m. By the time they get to the office in Miami, they have already put 2 to 3 hours of work on that computer, right?
That's true.
And then they get into that meeting. They finish the meeting, and they go back home and continue to work while sitting and driving home. This is crazy good stuff, man. Look how big the state can be, and then you're not in a cold weather country. You want to get out, you go out. You don't even need a jacket, man. It's crazy. I have a bunch of suits, and I'm like looking at them and said, okay, what am I going to do with this stuff right now? I'm looking for a colder day, Ricardo. I'm looking for a colder day to wear this stuff. But so
it's incredible how the things are aligned. I think one of the major key success factors for Miami and Florida is the government itself. I think Francis Suarez has done a great job.
Wonderful job.
Every ecosystem, every concept that has shifted this city and around it. I think it belongs to the government. And then you have obviously all these entrepreneurs and all these crypto companies that made a difference. And the real estate. I think the real estate, it's been there and it's still here and it's moving into the right direction.
Definitely the real estate, in my opinion, it was the front runner of everything.
The catalyst.
Right? Yeah. The explorer. And so with that, the big investors, the people with money, they bought their second home, their vacation place, their condo in Miami, whatever. They saw the opportunity to say, wait a minute. They come, they walk around, they see, okay, we can do something else here, not just buy a place for living. Let's see what we can do with business. But I got to tell you, on Francis Suarez, I like that guy. His vision is open, is young, is innovative, is aggressive. That's what you have to really be. You want to be a leader in the industry, in any industry. You got to be a front runner. You cannot have fear. You have to run. It doesn't matter. You're going to get tripped. You're going to go down. You're going to have a bleeding nose. You got to get up. You got to keep going. This guy, I like him a lot. I wish one day, Ricardo, we can make a run for him to come on the show. And I invite you. We have a bunch of guys. Maybe you motion him and all that stuff. That would be awesome for us to discuss this here to see. I really like this idea because We need these kind of leaders. If we want to be a state or a city or a region of the country, to bring that kind of success, to show the world that this place is the place to be no matter what, then we have to have the front runners showing the muscles to run through the puddles to the challenges, and to bring these entrepreneurs, the big visionaries around the world. That's all you need to do. Bring these guys in, and then they'll do the rest. You have to open the doors. They do the rest, right? You see it every day. You in this. You see it every day, right?
But that's correct. And in our line of business, we're trying to bring the platform and the opportunity for entrepreneurs to come here at a very low effort. It's in terms of what you need to do a soft landing in Miami or the US. If you're bringing your work, then it's definitely one of those things that makes you think, well, what am I getting back from the city if I'm putting my business and my life and my family there? And that's very, very important to consider. Yeah. Guys, are you there? Oh, yes, yeah. I thought I lost you.
No, we're here. Okay. We're here. We're listening clearly and openly. We're very attentive. You're sending some good signals here for us, some good information, Ricardo. Keep on going. Bring the good stuff out.
So we're basically working on a platform that allows 15 to 20 companies to come here for a 6-week program. 3 weeks are done from their home country, from their company. The CEO will join. It's like a boot camp for entrepreneurs, and we like to see them in real time, Main Street, tailor-made action plans. Like if you decide to bring your business and you're in the food safety industry, the tech, food tech, or you're in the edtech or fintech, financial technology.
Right.
And you say, well, I think the US could use the same model that I have in Colombia or Brazil or Mexico, and it will be a killer or it will be a disruptor. It will be a great success. But it happens that you need to relocate at some point resources or find someone here to help you with the soft landing and the acceleration process. And that really brings a lot of risk to the company because you have 3-4 guys, that's the entire group of employees from the company, the founders, and one of them has to venture here and start doing things like visiting a lawyer, an accountant, a bank account, and then the strategy. Well, you have to meet with the funds, and then you have to find new clients. And if you're going to be on social media here in the US, well, you have to hire an agency. So this is the project that we're bringing for entrepreneurs to come here and develop. So we're going to test them. And maybe from the 15, we'll end up having 3 or 4 finalists that we will guarantee them a program that will fund them and bootstrap them with 2 rounds and get them to the next level. We're going to show them and put them in front of the large corporations that will also like to meet them because they have things that they don't have. And then we put them also with the funds or our fund or our crowdfunding platform because, VC funds are very vicious sometimes in terms of the terms and conditions and the time that they stay with you and the pricing valuations, and they decide to either participate or not at very long stage. It takes 3 to 6 months. But now crowdfunding, which is the community, the people, doesn't leave anybody out. Like anybody can practically participate now in crowdfunding platforms, which are most of them, and this is very important to make sure that you do certified that they're regulated, not a non-regulated crowdfunding, which are many small under 5 million raises. But the ones that are regulated like banks or financial institutions are very safe. So then you have like 10,000 people or 5,000 people bringing $1 minimum investment or $100,000 or $10,000 into these projects. And together they bring the check and they fund the first rounds versus the last 5 years they were funded, or the last 50 years, by venture capitalists. And this is just one check from one fund that has one intention to get a multiplier out of this.
Right.
But in terms of individuals, they're investing now in Miami or through Miami in all of these projects that usually they were, let's just say, just a townhouse or an affordable living, $70,000. If you don't have $70,000, you couldn't invest. But now with the crowdfunding, you can invest $1 in the same project with another 7,000 or 10,000 investors. And you will get the return if you rent or lease this place. Everybody will get their share. So now that part is also shifted. So there seems to be other liquidity opportunities here that never existed before because of technology. And we were relying only on venture capital funds or multifamily offices to fund these companies. Companies like Snowball, which is one of the largest crowdfunding and secondary marketplace in private equity in Latin America, based in Mexico, just opened doors here in the US. And they're going to be doing their same successful model of opening investments in real estate, in pre-IPO companies, Rappi, Epic Games, SpaceX. If you're not invited to those deals, and they will ask for an accredited investor of $100,000, now you can do it for $10,000 or $1 minimum investments.
Wow, wow. So listen to everybody that is listening to this right now, and you have 10, 15 bucks, $100 or 50,000, whatever. You want to invest in something, but you don't know where to put it. Consider this.
That's right.
We need to reach out to you, Ricardo. We're going to make sure that your information is going to be there. So any investor around this globe who wants to get his foot or her foot in the water here, and these are warm waters, no sharky waters, warm, nice, and no cold waters, nice and beautiful. And so you need to consider Ironman Capital here, and we'll make sure that we get you this information so that you can speak to your crew later on and all that stuff, Ricardo. This is great stuff because I know a lot of stuff comes to us every day. Oh, you want to invest in this fund, you want to invest in that fund, you have to be an accredited investor. Minimum investment is 100,000 or 200,000, whatever it may be. They want to see all your financials and everything before they accept you. So this is good news, and this is probably 95, 98% of the population in this country, if not around the world. By the way, do you accept investors from around the world?
Well, every crowdfunding, like Mexico, is very closed. So only Mexicans or residents working with a working visa in Mexico can do it in Mexico. But here in the US, it's like any other broker dealer because it's a brokered investment bank behind the technology. You can accept anyone from around the world as long as they comply with the Know Your Customer, and they do sign if they are accredited or not. The beauty of this model, if you're not accredited, you can still invest to the limits that the system allows you to. So you can put $10. Most people can get $1 or 10.
That's for sure.
But definitely, if you have 10,000 or 100,000, you can also invest and diversify in 10 companies instead of putting everything in one. You can choose several and get the returns on private equity.
Why was it? Why was the idea of opening it up in such a small amount to get in? Why was that? Was this? Is this some? There's got to be something behind it.
Well, the reason was the limitations before. We just didn't have blockchain, which is the concept of having a ledger in real time. As an accountant, we used to have these large books where you have the assets and the liabilities on the right side, and A minus B, it's the capital that you have in the company. And that was managed before by software like Excel, and it still is, or Access. That's a 40-year-old software. But then it just shifted into the blockchain space, which is not related to crypto. It's used by crypto, but it's also used by the largest regulated and centralized companies today, including banks. Blockchain just allows you to do everything so fast without being able to delete any information that happened in the past or in the present. And that allows you at the same time to be able to program coding, as they call it today, a software that will give you the option to fractional. So when you do fractionals, before it was 0 to 1, but in between a 0 to 1, there's all these fractionals that you can jump into 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So if an investor before used to put $100,000, with this system now you can put $1 and do fractional to 100 investors or to 1 million investors, the same amount. So technology has allowed us to go to fractional levels, which is the human right. Everybody should be invited to, at their capacity, obviously, with responsibility and education, to this investment.
Of course.
No, it shouldn't be left up in the upper as it used to, because the systems did not allow it, or the strategy of the banks, the investment bankers were like, this is only for us, like an IPO. Who would dream to participate in a pre-IPO deal, right?
No, but that's everybody's dream. Ricardo, everybody's dream is anybody that understands a little bit about something like that would want to be invited to participate in a pre-IPO. I mean, I would love to have the opportunity and put some, whatever, like everybody else out there, put 50,000, 100,000, whatever, in something that, or a minimum you can put in and see your money double, triple, quadruple down the road. That would be awesome. That's a great idea because you bring the economic distance from the society, the lower, middle class, a little closer instead of separating them, because we have to be careful with this stuff because the rich become richer. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. This is capitalism.
Everybody should get invited.
Everybody should have a shot at it. If you are financially responsible, like you said, which is through the process of education. But if you don't care and you just want to throw your money out there and lose it, then that's your problem. But the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there. And that if you get invited, make good out of it because, look, these companies are managed by somebody like you or somebody who you know well. You're no newcomer. You've been in this industry for the longest time. I know that. And so the expertise, you have it. And everybody out there that you bring on board has it because I know you wouldn't do it differently. So that's a great concept. I love it because we have to make sure that a lot more people have access to that. And if you make it better for the majority of the people, the economy will grow. They will turn around, spend the money on the streets. They will spend the money in the neighborhood stores. They will buy stuff around the neighborhood. They will go to the restaurants, and this will help grow the community, the economy, the local economy, and everybody will benefit from it.
That is correct. And everybody should get invited. Nobody should be excluded, like they say. And it's very important that we focus not only on the business, but the sustainable development goals that the United Nations has set with most countries.
Right.
And we should focus on businesses and energies that we are doing today or we're creating, that they should consider reviewing the 17 goals that the Sustainable Development Goals are required. And especially here in Miami, the weather it's not on our side every time, so we should be prepared. Everybody that's coming from elsewhere that doesn't have the experience of hurricanes it's part of it. So sustainable development goals are important, climate change,
right?
So we can reduce the risk and these businesses don't go into the trouble of a hurricane or a flood without knowing how to go about this. It's important here in Florida as well. But I don't know what else where you would like to go into details of entrepreneurship or social impact. What would you like to talk about?
I wanted to see what you can talk a little bit about your trip to Spain. You went to Madrid, and what is it that they're thinking in Europe? How do you see Europe compared to, say, the U.S.? What are they doing there? And are they looking to invest here in the U.S. or not? Or are they thinking to drain funds from us here to invest there? How do you see it there? I mean, you spent a good amount of time with some very influential people there. Tell me a little bit about that, if you can, whatever you can say. I know there's some sort of...
No, it's okay. And I can openly tell you about Spain. I studied there my international MBA in a place called the Instituto Empresa.
That was in Madrid?
Yeah, that's in Madrid, which is a wonderful place to study and work. So I had the chance to do that a long time ago, but the Instituto Empresa and Spain went through a very complicated unemployment levels that reached 26% 12 years ago. So there were a lot of people out in the streets, and Maria Benjumea, who's the wife of the founder of the Instituto Empresa, she went out to the streets to activate thousands of people that were unemployed and told them something that I've heard many times from my side, from my family, that maybe you should consider being an entrepreneur. And you should go out there and take the best out of your creativity and put it into action. So 12 years ago, the South Summit, which is called, it's a summit that goes around the world in different cities. And it's the most active, and they're very proud to say this, I'm very proud to say that the most active entrepreneurial ecosystem and creating the future unicorns and disruptors of the world in terms of technology. So Maria Benjumea created the South Summit 12 years ago. And since then, South Summit has been going around for 3-day summit, 25,000 people. And they bring the 100 entrepreneurial finalists of a sample of more than 10,000 participants on this company. So large corporations are very interested in meeting these 100 finalists. Like if you have the S&P companies that don't have the IT development departments, they need to have the chance to talk with these entrepreneurs that are changing the world. And once they talk to them, they see that there's an opportunity for the funds that South Summit brings, 250 funds, to bootstrap these 100 companies and give them the chance to continue growing, continue impacting with the sustainable social development goals on top of their heads, ESG as well, economic sustainable, and allow them to grow. So just to give you some idea, from 12 years till now, 6 companies that went into the South Summit are already unicorns. And there's more than 69 exits of other companies, meaning they did an IPO or they were acquired, merged. So it's a very interesting summit. So we were in Spain almost 2 months ago in the South Summit in Madrid, which brought 25,000 participants. And there's the night summit for concerts. And more interesting is the energy behind 100 finalists, 25,000 watching all this contest going on, and the large corporations. That environment really brings a lot of liquidity to this industry that usually it's very illiquid. Like tonight or tomorrow, you will see how the economic impact of the news today really impacts the venture capital. But having the South Summit and having the crowdfunding and having all these new ways of helping entrepreneurs, I believe it will be a very big, important challenge. So we decided to bring South Summit and give it a shot to North America next year, Ironman. So we're bringing this South Summit to Miami, hopefully, and we can start also bringing 25,000 participants.
Wow.
By the end of next year, and be able to identify those 100 finalists in Miami from everywhere in the US and around the world that would like to come, and give them the opportunity to get the bootstrap from the funds and have the chance to also get the back office or the accelerator program from the largest corporations around the world. And I think that's a very positive shift also for Spain, Madrid, to be able to give us the opportunity to bring it here and have also the opportunity of have an ecosystem that really gives the entrepreneur the tools, the funding, the knowledge, the academia, the government, all together in one place, making sure that they make it and increase the probability of success. That has never happened in the US, for example. I've seen it in South Summit Madrid. I've seen it in South Summit Porto Alegre in Brazil, which is amazing. They're also happening in South Korea, Qatar, and hopefully Miami next year.
Very interesting. Look, this brings a whole new segment of business around and all this stuff, a whole new, and with the young minds that come in, there is innovation, there is new ideas that come with it. This is so important. Ricardo, look, I cannot thank you enough for what you just shared here, because it's so valuable that people need to see out there what you do. And I know a lot of people already know what you do, but the more people that know what you do, the better, because your intentions with what you do are very clear here. There is no doubt about that, giving people the chance to come on board with you, to invest with you, and with that, innovation will come. There will be some great nuggets that will be put on your table.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
From people that don't even know what to do because they've never given an opportunity. Because and that's, I think, it's so valuable. And I'm sure you've seen part of this out there already. But look, Ricardo, we are just about on our time. Give me a minute or two of a good summary, in your view. What you think what's going on today and what the future holds for us here based on your vision. Tell me a little bit about that and rip it. Let's go.
Well, I do believe that the U.S. has a big challenge of maintaining leadership. That's, I think, one of the things that was an eye opener. The dollar and the debt ceiling has been increased, and that means that there will be more debt out there from dollars. So that will bring weakness to the dollar, and it will show that it may be that other currencies are getting stronger, but it's not the case. Inflation is going down deep at a very high scale of double digits, and that will impact all the industries. but there will be a shift in terms of the cash flow that is coming and going from every country to other countries. But definitely the Miami, the dollar, the investment here in real assets or alternative investments, it's a great bet. It has never been a bad bet, and I believe investors are still looking at it, even though the credit ratings of the U.S. Are going a little bit down. That has huge implications to other countries that have U.S. debt holdings, treasuries. But that's how the story goes. Whoever is printing more money, if it's the U.S. or if it's China or other countries, it's nothing new. That has been the story of humanity since they started with this
True.
Central government printing business, and it's not the gold. So now it's the U.S. dollar, from China, and then there's some very little in crypto. But reserves and cash flows are still coming to the U.S. very strong, and I do believe even if the environment gets more complicated, it will only bring more money to the U.S. and major double A consider rating countries. I do believe that any partner from the U.S. will also strengthen deeply, like Mexico. They got one hell of a ride when China and the U.S. didn't make it in terms of commercial trade. There's a lot of onshoring business happening from Mexico, and a lot of Chinese company also going to Mexico to be able to still sell their products to the U.S. So Mexico got like a free ride in terms of the NAFTA treaty that is in place, and that's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
And it's our neighboring country, which is great for us because it's right around the corner. It's very important for us, and it's a democratic country. That is essential. And I tell you, I cannot tell you more. You're summing it up very well here. And I want to just make one point here. Nobody can stay as a champion forever.
Right.
In no country, even though the U.S. has been the leading country around the world. I always say this. When the rest of the world is the chupacabra of the U.S.,
Right.
I always said that. It's true. When everybody got in trouble around the world, guess where they ran to? They came to the U.S. for rescue. And now we're going a little bit of a shift here and there. Oh, look, the U.S., the dollar is the dollar. We have our up and downs. There's no NBA champion team that will repeat forever the championship. There's no American football team. There's no soccer team around the world that will always win the World Cup. Everybody is competing for the trophy. Everybody. And that's the way, that's growth, that's global growth. And we just have to look at our areas where we can manage it a little bit better and listen. I'm not afraid.
I see the Chinese and the U.S. competing to make sure they identify the countries that are going to go into a financial trouble. It's a shameful that event that Bolivia got rescued by China.
Yeah. Well,
but it was forthcoming in that direction for many years.
Yep.
But I believe that there will be other countries that the U.S. should definitely be there before the Chinese to rescue
it's an eye-opening. It's an eye-opening.
It happens. But I think it's coming very fast, faster than we thought.
Right.
And it's nothing new. Like all countries in the past, and as you said, the Romans or the Greeks or the Ottoman Empire were great for maybe hundreds or thousands of years, and then they fell. I don't think it's time for the U.S. to fall.
No,
I don't think it will be our lives or my kids or my grandkids that will see it go into. But there's definitely more competition in terms of who's like leading, if it's Brazil or it's Russia or if it's India or if it's the China or Mexico and U.S., Canada together. Remember, like the Europeans one day decided to come together, all together into the Euro. Then some decided to not make it, like the Turks and Greece barely made it, and they didn't. And then there's the group that are very well protected, but still England decided to move out. But Mexico, U.S., and Canada are together in terms of trading like no other region in the world. And you have the NAFTA producing machine, which is Mexico producing goods made in the USA, but the maquiladoras are there. And from here, we have the open doors to trade anywhere, like no one.
That's the good part of it. That's the good part of it. And
so it's amazing what will happen to the U.S., I guess, in terms of trading and expansion.
Well, Ricardo, everybody, as we know it, wants a piece of the pie. Everybody. We need to just make sure that we keep the largest piece, and that we cannot prevent from the countries around the world to get a piece of it. But we need to make sure that we have the sustainability and the growth and the potential and the administration part of it, the political part of it, to concentrate it with the U.S. development. And I think you are a big part of this, believe it or not, what you're brewing, what you're bringing, because what you bring to the U.S. is helping economic growth, is helping economic development, and is bringing money, is bringing everything, including expansion here and growth. That's fabulous. And listen, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming to the show. I really do appreciate it. I know you need to travel. You have a crazy busy schedule, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And if I can tell something else for your audience or for your audience family, if you are out there and you think that you should be considering going as an entrepreneur, don't think twice and give it a shot. This is the perfect timing. This is a perfect opportunity to shift. If you're an employee and thinking about it, give it a try. Just don't think twice, because that will take care of not moving forward. But if you have this on your heart, don't think twice about considering being an entrepreneur.
As one friend of mine, and I end with this, says, try and you will fall forward. Right. You will fall forward. And that's the good part of it. And thank you again, Ricardo.
Thank you, Paulo.
We'll see you soon live, and we'll have a drink to thank you for this great interview, this great show.
Fuerte abrazo.
All right. Hasta la vista, huh?
Hasta la vista.
Ciao. Thank you very much. And see you later at our next show. Stay tuned.
See you next.
All right. Bye-bye.